Welcome to this channel. Mau belajar bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggris dengan cara yang seru, santai, dan mudah dipahami? You're in the right place. Belajar kosakata dan ekspresi sehari-hari. Learn daily vocabulary and expressions. Dengarkan contoh situasi nyata. Listen to real-life examples. Subscribe sekarang dan nyalakan notifikasi. Let's learn together and have fun.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're doing something really interesting today.
Yeah.
We're looking at lesson notes that you, our listeners, kindly shared from an absolute beginner Indonesian course.
Ah, right. Lesson 17, wasn't it? Indonesia is a beautiful place.
That's the one. Now you might think, okay, beginner lesson, pretty basic stuff, right? But our mission here is to really, dig in, to see what insights about the language, about the culture are hiding in plain sight, even in these early steps.
Absolutely. It's amazing how much is packed into seemingly simple language lessons, those little clues about a whole different worldview.
Exactly, those aha moments. So what's in this lesson specifically?
Well, it's got a dialogue, some key vocabulary naturally, sample sentences showing how things work.
Okay.
And then it zooms in on grammar a bit, the pronoun dia, and something called stative verbs.
Stative verbs, okay.
And crucially, a cultural note on Hallis's refinement. So yeah, quite a bit to unpack actually.
All right, let's dive in. The opening dialogue, Edie and Tootie. Edie kicks it off, addressing Tootie as Mbak. The notes say sister. What's really going on there? Is it literally sister?
Not usually, no. It's
Yeah.
well, it's fascinating. Using mbak for women or mother for men, even casually, it's more than just politeness.
Okay.
It taps into this deep-seated respect, often related to age or just perceived seniority in that moment. It reflects a kind of social hierarchy.
So it's baked into the language itself, how you navigate social interactions.
Exactly. These kinship terms are really functional that way.
Interesting. Then Edie asks, Johnny, Mbak sudah kawin. So, sister, are you already married? That feels, well, pretty direct to me.
It can feel that way, yeah, depending on your background.
Is that normal conversation fodder?
It often is, yeah.
Yeah.
It touches on this cultural norm around personal questions. In Indonesia, family, community, they're hugely important. So asking about marriage, maybe kids, it's often just part of, standard social connection building.
Right. Less about being nosy, more about understanding someone's place in the community structure.
Pretty much. It shows what's considered important social information.
Okay, got it. So Tootie says yes, she is married, asks about Edie's partner, and describes her husband. Dia tinggi, kuat, dan ganteng.
He's tall, strong, and handsome.
Seems fair enough. Those sound like good things anywhere, really.
They generally are, yeah. Tall, strong physical presence, handsome appearance, pretty universal positive traits.
But then Edie describes his partner. Sudah dia halus dan indah sekali. I do, she's refined and very beautiful.
And then bam, Tootie cuts him off.
Right, indah. Harus bilang cantik mas Yasma. Beautiful. You have to say pretty, brother. This feels like a major point.
Oh, it's huge. This is where you see a really specific word choice matter, and it's tied directly to cultural understanding. The vocab list makes it clear.
How so?
Inda is for beautiful, yes, but for things. Inanimate objects, landscapes, maybe art.
Okay.
Whereas cantique is for pretty, specifically for people, usually women, as Tootie's correction really drives home. Edie made a classic learner's mistake there.
So calling a woman Indo would sound wrong.
It could sound quite odd, yeah. Maybe a bit like you're talking about her features as objects rather than her as a person. Cantique is the word you want for a woman's beauty.
And the list also gives us ganteng for handsome for men.
Exactly. So there's a definite gender aspect to how you describe people's attractiveness.
Let's look at some other vocab then. Halus is refined. We'll come back to that one, I bet. Quat, strong. Seems straightforward. Pakar, romantic partner. Useful.
Very useful. Girlfriend or boyfriend.
Tinggi, tall or high. Siri characteristic. And then the little helpers. Sakali for very, and harus for must.
Yeah, those are core building blocks, and the santai sentences are great for seeing them in action.
Right, like, saya menerima kartu pos dari pakar saya. I got a postcard from my girlfriend. Simple enough.
Or, tinggi saya 180 centimeter. I'm 180 centimeters tall using tinggi.
Mas Joko orang kuat. Mas Joko is a strong person. Shows kuat. Pretty clear.
But, like you said, it's the beauty words in the examples that really hammer home that distinction we were talking about.
Yes. Okay, look. Wanita itu memiliki pipi yang indah. The woman has beautiful cheeks.
Right, in the use there.
And pemandangan dari kamar tidur utama itu indah. The view from the bedroom is beautiful. Also, indah. So even cheeks, part of a person, get indah.
It seems so in that construction, yeah. It's like the cheeks are being singled out as a feature, almost like an object in that grammatical context, rather than describing the whole woman.
Huh. Okay. But then the contrast. Dia wanita yang cantik.
She is a beautiful woman, using cantik. Perfect example.
It really clarifies it. Indah for things, views, maybe specific features treated like things. Cantik for a woman.
Exactly. It's subtle, maybe, but really important for sounding natural.
And there's one more example. Gamelan itu halus sekali. That gamelan orchestra is very refined.
Ah, yes, a little taste of that Hannes concept again. We're definitely circling back to that.
Okay, so vocabulary choices clearly matter culturally. What about the grammar points? The pronoun dia.
Right. The interesting thing about dia, the main third person pronoun, is that it's gender neutral.
So he or she.
Yep, it covers both. Unlike English or many other languages, Indonesian doesn't typically force you to specify gender in the third person singular pronoun.
Are there other ways to say he or she?
There are more formal ones, like belio, which shows a lot of respect. But dia is the everyday default. Makes something simpler for learners, maybe.
I suppose so. Fewer pronouns to memorize initially.
True. Then there's this idea of stative verbs.
Okay, this sounds potentially tricky. What does that mean?
Well, the notes explain that Indonesian doesn't always distinguish sharply between verbs and adjectives like English does. So words that describe qualities, physical traits, personality often act like verbs themselves. They describe a state of being.
Could you give an example?
Sure. In English, we say he is tall. We need the verb is and the adjective tall.
Right.
In Indonesian, the word tinggi, tall, can kind of encapsulate that whole idea. It implies the is tall state directly. The quality itself acts like the description.
Ah, I think I get it. So tinggi, kuts, ganteng, halus, indah, cantik. They're not just adjectives. They can function more like verbs describing a state.
Exactly. They express that state of being tall or strong or beautiful. It's a different way of categorizing descriptions, grammatically speaking.
That's actually kind of cool. A different lens on language.
It really is. Shows how grammar itself shapes how we talk about the world.
Okay, finally, let's properly tackle that cultural insight. Haluses, refinement. This sounds pretty significant, especially for Central Java and Bali.
Oh, it's central. The lesson frames Hallis not just as, being polite or smooth, but as a genuine ideal, something to aspire to.
An ideal, wow.
Yeah, and it's associated with positive traits, even heroic figures. They mention Arjuna from the Mahabharata, seen as embodying this refined quality.
Okay, so it's deeply ingrained. And the opposite?
The opposite is kasar, coarse, rough, and it's viewed very negatively.
How negative?
Well, the notes link it to being loud, inconsiderate, even potentially monstrous in some traditional contexts, like wayang kulit shadow puppets.
Whoa, that's a really strong contrast. It really highlights how valued Hallis must be.
Absolutely. It points to valuing grace, subtlety, consideration, a certain composure, both internally and externally. It's about character, not just manners.
So learning Hallis isn't just vocabulary, it's like unlocking a key cultural value.
Precisely. That's why language learning is so much more than words and grammar, right? It's a window into what a society admires, what it expects, what it considers. Well, ideal.
This has been genuinely fascinating. Taking apart what looked like a simple beginner lesson.
Yeah.
And finding all these layers, the into versus cantic thing is critical, the gender neutral dia. Thinking about descriptions as stative verbs, and especially this concept of Hallis and its importance, it really drives home how language and culture are just completely interwoven.
Couldn't agree more. Even at step one, you start to see these different ways of slicing up the world and expressing what matters.
So it leaves me thinking, here's something for everyone listening to consider. How does this Indonesian ideal of Hallis, this refinement, compare to maybe ideals of character or behavior in cultures?
Yeah, good question.
What does that comparison tell us about what different societies prioritize? And, how does language itself help shape and reflect those priorities?
Absolutely, something to mull over.
Absolutely. Food for thought.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.